In this short video, I'm going to show you how to customize the wireless Slate. Before we get started, you need to make sure that your Slate is plugged into your computer, as well as you need to make sure that the power button is on and that your power light and wireless light on the front of the Slate are both green. Once this is done, there's two different ways that you can access the control panel. The first is a blue box in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen on the system tray. What you can do is you can right-click on this and choose Control Panel from here. Sometimes, however, this blue box does not show up. To get to Control Panel, if that blue box is not located there, click All Programs, Smart Technologies, Smart Product Drivers, and here you'll find Control Panel. From that point, you can click on Control Panel, click on Smart Hardware Settings, and you'll see that you have your smart board if you have one hooked up. If you do not have a smart board hooked up to your computer, this might not show up, but you should have the Smart Slate since it is plugged into the computer and it should be turned on. It'll show up in this little tray. I'm going to click on Smart Slate, and now I'm to the point to where I can customize this Slate. Again, here it shows you how much power is left on the battery. It displays some of the features of the Slate, and here's where you're going to customize it. I'm going to go through some of the basic tools that you might want to customize on your Slate. The first thing is the pen itself. The pen is going to be what you're going to use to manipulate your computer from anywhere in the classroom. The pen itself, as default, is set up to have the eraser portion, or the top of the pen, be an eraser when you actually turn it upside down. Just much like a pencil would be when you write within a pencil, you turn it upside down to erase. Same thing with the pen. Turn it upside down, it'll be an eraser. Now here on my Slate that I use in my classroom, you can see that I've disabled the button on the pen. Now this button has a couple different features. If you click the top part of the button, you can choose to have it do any of these options listed here. You can have it clear a screen, you can right click, have it middle click. It's entirely up to you. Same thing if you press down on the bottom part of the button, you can customize it to do whatever you would like with these options. Now I've chosen to disable it because having students write with this pen, sometimes they would click this button on accident, and in turn it would lead to us to maybe a different page, or it would change something, and it just made it more of a hassle. So you might disable both of those if you're going to have students writing with them a lot, especially at the primary age. You know, upper elementary might be able to understand it a little bit easier to avoid clicking those buttons. But again, the top, you can choose to change it to something other than the eraser, but it's pretty nice feature just to leave it as an eraser, pretty quick to be able to erase things that you write. Again, the two buttons you can customize by clicking the down arrows and choosing. On top of the Slate, you have three buttons. Again, you have the picture of the power button and the wireless button. You can customize these arrows to do what you would like. The middle button, you can customize. On this one, I have it to open up the actual notebook software, and then you can advance slides by pressing these buttons to navigate through your presentation using the notebook software. Now this is just one of the customizations. The other thing that I want to mention on this is you can actually customize the feel of the tip of the pen. Now the reason being is that the way that this Slate works is when you're writing with a pen on your smart board or on your computer screen, the way that that Smart Slate senses that you're writing is when you press down. If you press lightly, it does not start writing. It lets you figure out where you're located on the screen, but once you press hard, that is when it starts to actually write. So you might have to play a little bit and determine where you want the softness or the firmness of that pen tip to be. At the primary age, they have a hard time sensing how hard to press to start writing. And you can see that I've adjusted to be closer to firm just so that it helps them so that they can actually press on the Slate itself and locate where they're at without worrying about writing until they really press pretty hard on that pen. So again, this is one of the ways to customize it. Now there's a few other options that you have from the drop-down arrow. Orientation alignment settings, you're not really going to need to do much from this aspect of it. Mouse and gesture settings, similar to what you can do to customize a mouse itself. Again, this is going to be very similar to using your own mouse on your computer. So unless you really feel like customizing this, you don't really need to change anything. Arrange video output, again, this you don't really need to customize at all. Advanced settings, not a whole lot you need to really change here. Hardware info and settings just gives you a little more information about it. The other one that's kind of a big one is the setup, underlay, and icon strip. So again, the pen and button settings is one that you're going to want to customize quite a bit probably, as well as the setup, underlay, and icon strip. Now the setup and underlay icon strip is actually an invisible strip on the right-hand side of the Slate. Now down here you want to customize this. So what you're going to do is you're going to configure the icon strip. You can see here all the options on the left-hand side, and then the ones that I actually have selected on the right-hand side. So these two that are on the right-hand side are actually on this invisible strip that's on the right-hand side of the Slate. Now the reason that they have this invisible layer is so that you can slide your pen all the way to the right-hand side of the Slate. So if this is the picture of the Slate, if I slide my pen all the way to the right-hand side of the Slate, it'll change it to an arrow. And then if I slide it down here to the bottom portion where there's a pen icon, it'll automatically change it to a pen. Now these don't show up on your Slate. They're invisible. It's for you to kind of remember where you put certain things at. It's just a way to go about changing from one tool to another to make it go a little bit quicker. I would recommend, if you're not wanting to use a lot of the features, is to configure it to only use a couple of them. Now what we use in the primary grades is we switch back and forth between the arrow and the pen. And those are both on here on my icon strip. And you can see you can position it to be at the bottom, the right, or the left. Right now it's currently at the right-hand side. The nice thing about this is as we're teaching a lesson, we can switch back and forth between an arrow and a pen by just simply sliding the pen over and touching this portion on this invisible strip. Again, you can print this if you want to hang on to it. I know some people have mentioned maybe printing it out and taping it to the side to be able to see it. The only problem with that is if we're going to share slates throughout the school, it might be kind of tough to keep track of which slate has what items customized. So again, if you're having issues with accidentally changing to maybe a pen when you don't want to, or taking a picture of the screen, or opening up notebook software, what you can actually do is you can come in under Setup, Underlay, and Icon Strip, and this is where you can configure your icon strip and add and remove any of these different types of tools to the invisible strip. Again, this is just a simple way to customize some of the features of the wireless Slate.